This is the order issued under the Section 22 of the Foreign Exchange Act. As you know, sir, that we have also come here previously also, because this order has been issued several times since April 2020. So this order was issued effective from June 2024 for a period of 6 months, whereby we have, you can say that we have, what we maintain by issuing this order, some capital limitations, suspension on the capital transactions. And that this was introduced in 2020 April, and we continued this restriction up until 2023 June. But afterwards, as agreed with the communicated to the IMF, that we started to little bit relax these restrictions. So this is 2024 June 18 order is something to continuation of this easing of transaction, whatever we restricted by then. And this order was supposed to be expired on 19th December 2024. Technically speaking, this had been expired. And but with this order, of course, as I said already, that we had relaxed some of the transaction related to capital transaction. If you let me highlight one or two examples. So one, this order, of course, allowed companies to go and invest outside the country. For listed companies up to 500,000, and for the unlisted companies up to 150,000. That is for the period of this order. That's for the 6 months. So this was a kind of a relaxation compared to what was prevailing earlier. The earlier order only allowed the listed companies to go up to 200,000 only, and also unlisted companies to only 100,000. So some kind of a relaxation. And I just want to highlight that before introduction of this order, in terms of the Foreign Exchange Act introduced in 2017, in terms of the regulation issued, these companies were allowed to invest for 2 million per calendar year. So that was only stopped in 2020, continued to until 2023, and also we started to relax it by 2023. I'm repeating the same. Thank you.
So that means now there are no restrictions.
Now I can say that we have still restriction.
Up to 2 million now you can go.
Now they can go up to 500,000 only, sir.
But I thought you said that the restrictions ended by the end of last year.
No, what I wanted to tell you, sir, originally, in terms of the regulation we issued, that we allowed the companies up to invest up to 2 million per calendar year for listed companies. Now it is just 500,000. Prior to this, the order, what was prevailing prior to this order, had only permitted 200,000.
So now this is for the next 6 months, is it?
Yeah.
Next 6 months.
This is so this was expired, and again we have issued another order with effect from 19 December 2024, sir.
So
that is for another 6 months.
That is 500,000.
That is also a continuation of the 500,000 limit.
Right. So are you going to increase it from 500,000 to 2 million anytime soon? Or?
So we have a phase-out plan to gradually ease this restriction within next 2 to 3 years' time, sir.
Has there been anyone who has requested that they have a particular investment and seek approval? Special approval to do so during the last few years?
Yes.
We
have considered.
You have given special, or you have not allowed?
No, we have considered few requests, yes.
I don't understand. Can you explain that?
No, the gentleman, the Honorable Minister is asking whether you approved it or not.
Yes, I can remember that we have allowed one case to invest more than 2 million.
No, it's more than.
Why the selective process? Why is it not open policy?
No, in fact,
if a foreign company, say a public listed company, is able to bring dollars in, and if we can spend also for future investment, why are you selecting 1-2 companies?
No, that was because in terms of this order, this allows that people, if you can raise this capital by foreign borrowing, they can just go for an investment more than 2 million. In this particular order highlights that.
So what was that the basis of the exception?
Yes, that the case that we allowed was based on their foreign borrowings.
So they were not taking money from here.
No, they were not taking money from here.
It's just a registered company locally, but investing more than $2 million.
Yeah, that
What are the
required the
$2 million
special approval of the minister, sir.
Minister,
Yes.
it's a finance minister, not central bank.
Central bank only have to recommend it. The minister is the final authority to approve.
No, I mean, I asked this not to find fault at any of the transactions, but to understand if any of our companies now planning to expand out of Sri Lanka, which is good for the country, do we have a process of evaluating that? Because, I mean, from a currency perspective, yes, we have to go phase by phase. But if there's an organization who's having a business opportunity in somewhere and who needs such a investment, is there a process we have that we
Yes.
can nationally look at it in a more pragmatic way and selectively decide?
No, it's a very valid question because, there has to be freedom of capital both ways. And so therefore, we would like to know what your phased out program is because for some reason you had a limit of $2 million and that may have been there for some time, I don't know. But when do you plan to go back to the $2 million at least, or do you have a roadmap, or is there some plan? Instead of just, picking and choosing, company A versus company B.
So of course, as we have already communicated to the IMF even that within next 3 to 4 years time, sir, depending on the market development, we will be able to gradually relax this restriction and go up to this 2 million level, and after reviewing the existing market conditions.
No, I think this is the basis we need to agree. No. Now, if you take this off, will there be a huge free flow? Are there companies in Sri Lanka who's going to invest heavily outside, or are these random events that happen in a year that you need to selectively decide what's rational, what is not good, what is that?
Yeah,
Is a risk of capital.
this is capital transactions basically.
So
Yeah.
that is what we are restricting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because anyway, Article 9 is it? Capital?
Sir, Article 8
Eight is
to
on the
deal
current
is something
account,
about the current international transaction
Yeah.
that we have already relaxed.
Yeah.
There is no more any restriction
No
over the current
restrictions on
transaction.
capital, yeah.
But in terms of the Section 7 of this Act, the minister can only relax the capital transaction by issuing regulations. So that is what we had done after implementation of this Act, sir. Minister issued regulation permitting classes of capital transaction. That what we stopped in 2020, sir. And then we finally decided to gradually relax it onwards from the 2023 June onwards.
Yeah.
As you said, that based on the market development. We have a pace out plan to relax this thing and go up to the original standards, what was prevailing in the 2020, making it 3 to 4 years after reviewing the market condition. If the market condition allows us to do it, we will be able to do that.
Yeah, okay, Mr. Prasanna, now what you're saying is this is anyway now gone, right? You have to still submit to Parliament the new one,
Yeah.
which you haven't done so.
That is already published. It will come to the committee, sir, within next few weeks'
Okay.
time.
So then that's it, no, gentlemen, ladies?
One thing
What
again,
about foreign exchange coming into the country? Is there still a limit of how much can come in?
There is no any limit for inward remittances. There is no any limit of remittance. That based on the purpose, we have really cleared down the criteria.
No, that is a laid down policy. No, now if anybody wants to send $100,000 in, there's a problem.
So what's the purpose? That's the most important.
Purpose. From overseas, you get $100,000.
Yeah.
Now, is there a restriction as of this moment?
No, from the foreign exchange point of view, there is no any restriction. They can come and put it into a normal rupee account.
Just
There they have to sell the dollars and put it to a rupee account.
On flight when you come in, you say maximum $15,000. Now, why is that as a
Sorry, sir, I
outgoing.
couldn't follow you.
inflow? I'm talking. You can bring only 25,000.
So you are talking about the carrying of foreign currency in person.
I'm talking of whether carrying or whether inward remittance.
Inward remittance, no limits.
No limit.
No
So
limit.
a bank you can bring any amount.
Yeah, any amount they can bring it.
KYC.
Yeah, the bank has to do the KYC and
that-
understand the
also
underlying
but there is
transaction.
no restriction of an inbound movement.
No,
Nothing at all.
nothing, because it depends on the purpose. Like, if you are bringing the money for the investment,
No, the purpose is immaterial. No, if you are bringing into the country, there is no threat to the country. Your banks will look at the KYC and it will permit. But the question of asking whether there is a limit or not is
There is no any upper limit as such.
Okay.
nothing.
Okay.
Is there any valid reason that now you started with the 200 million,
$2 million.
2 billion at the initial inception in 2019,
2017. sir.
17. So then that gradually that reduce up to 500,000, then 150,000.
No, this is to 500,000.
Now it is 500,000.
500,000 for the listed companies.
Yeah.
For the unlisted company, it's 150,000.
Is there any valid reason that you found to restrict that to some sort of amount like this 500,000?
Yeah, that's what I explained, sir. Now, in fact, because of this depletion of the foreign exchange reserves of the country, so we have a provision in the Foreign Exchange Act to take issue the order by the minister with the approval of the cabinet if he sees that there is a threat to the foreign exchange outflows of the country and there is a threat to the financial preservation, financial stability. So that is why they issued this order. So by the time you can remember that, sir, the foreign exchange reserves were not, we were in trouble, sir. It's a turbulent time.
Yeah. Let's take the next one also because it is related to this. It is about Hawala and Undial. So this one we will approve. Next one is again Director. Are you presenting this?
I will initiate, Honorable Chairman. I am Director FIU.
Yes. You are presenting this.
I am presenting.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, this is a regulation, Money or Value Transfer Service Providers Regulation issued under the Payment and Settlement Systems Act of 2005. I will initiate with the requirement. Actually, this regulation was brought in to introduce a monitoring mechanism for informal money remitters, as you correctly mentioned, Hawala, Undial operators. So, with the introduction of this regulation, which came into force on the 3rd of June last year, Hawala operators or informal money remitters have been given 1 year's time to apply for a certificate of registration from the central bank. So after 2nd of June this year, if any operator is operating without obtaining the required registration, that operator will be an illegal operator. So the requirement came from basically from international requirements. As you are very well aware, Sri Lanka is preparing for country's 3rd mutual evaluation on anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism. It will commence in March 2026. So the global policy setter when it comes to anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism is Financial Action Task Force. It has introduced 40 recommendations that are expected to be implemented by all the countries. In terms of recommendation 14, all the money value transfer service providers should be either licensed or registered. Even though they are informal remitters like Hundi, Hawala or Fenche, then they are required to obtain a registration. So this is fulfilling that requirement on one hand, and also Sri Lanka in its anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism work arena, we have conducted country's 2nd national risk assessment on money laundering and terrorist financing. When it comes to sectoral threat for money laundering and terrorist financing, the highest risk was involved with Hawala or Undial operators. Given the time the NRA was conducted, National Risk Assessment 21-22 period. So this regulation has been introduced in fulfilling these 2 requirements.
2 questions, Doctor. The first one is now, when did this go into effect?
It is already in effect.
Yeah, so
because
you said 1 year, right?
1 year time period has been given. It is already in force from the 3rd of June last year. Okay. And 1 year's time period has been given for operators to obtain
So it
registration.
goes on till 3rd of June, this
2nd
coming
of
two-
June this year,
2025.
2025.
So how many people have sort of sought registration?
I invite so far, because actually this is issued by the Payments and Settlement Department, director is also here. So far we have not received
So
any
basically,
application.
if I say this is to legalize Undial and Hawala, am I correct?
I would say anyway it is not illegal at the moment,
It's
Hawala
regularized.
Undial, but to introduce some regulatory mechanism.
So, yeah.
Because these operators could be abused for money laundering or terrorist financing. If we are not bringing them within the network of AML CFT, then we will not be aware of how much money is laundered or for illegal purposes. If they are abused, no one knows it.
So here some records need to be kept, is it?
Yes,
I was wondering whether I heard the Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance, Dr. Fernando, this morning. Did he say we are in the grey list?
No. I don't know, but factually no.
We are factually not in the grey list.
Sri Lanka was grey listed twice.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka faced mutual evaluation 2 times in
It was taken out of the grey list. during
2006 and
Honorable
2015.
Samarveera's time.
Both occasions we ended up on the grey list. Last time we were grey listed on the 4th of November 2017, but we came out of the grey list in 2019.
That's correct. Yes, you were going to list out, no? Some numbers you were going to tell us? Somebody was going to tell us some numbers? How many people had...
Not registered.
We have not received any
Oh,
applications so
nothing.
far.
So do we have a view as a financial investigative unit, like how many operators are there in Sri Lanka?
No one actually knows it. Because this was a problem for Sri Lanka during the financial crisis time, when people moved to these
so
informal
do we know
operators.
at least the quantum of money that's been traded?
No one knows it.
Bringing this regulation if we don't know anything about what is
Is
happening
it
right now?
assumption based?
On what assumptions are we doing
But
this?
it is commonly accepted that there are
But that is not an assumption that we can go by to say commonly accepted. There has to be
there
some.
are operators, so that is the understanding. There are Hawala Undial operators operating in Sri Lanka. That is why when exchange rate was fixed, all the transfers went through this underground system.
I agree that there was a problem with
And
Hawala
even during the Easter Sunday attack, the investigators found that for certain presence of Hawala operators.
But what is the value of this? Is there any number, any figure that the
No, the thing is what
financial intelligence-
the MP is asking now for 6 months we don't know who's doing it. We don't have any information who's doing it and they are not registering. Now say this get enacted like 1st June. At that point also we might say we don't know how to track them, we don't know who's doing it. So how does it going to work?
It's going to be difficult, but the international requirement, I would say, a country should take action, that is proactive action, to identify illegal operators.
But
So
we
there
haven't
should be a
identified.
requirement to register.
So why do we wait till next June? We can do it now.
At the moment there is, because we have not made it illegal
No, that's
so
what I'm
far.
saying. It's not illegal, but education-wise, understanding people, who are these operators? Is there any other process that's going to take?
Actually, if I may, red flag came up during the electric car matter, and we had a discussion with the central bank and the customs. At this committee only, we really, found out something wrong was going on, and FIU has started looking into it. The Auditor General has now given a set of recommendations, I think, because there seemed to have been a large volume of dollars that may have been transferred using Undial and Hawala. So when we sort of get some lead somewhere, then you sort of pull it out, and then perhaps after this investigation, we may be able to find out, at least, for these vehicles that were imported, who these Undial and Hawala operators were. And maybe through that, perhaps we can get some idea, but obviously it is much larger than that.
Yeah, Honorable Chairman, we have put paper notices inviting the existing Hawala Undial operators, if there are any, to come and register with us. And also, if there is anyone who want to engage as a new operator, they have to first operate the registration first, and then only they can engage in this operation.
I think there must be a sentiment that this is illegal, so nobody is willing to come. The communication has to be then much clearer as well.
Yeah, because we have clearly communicated that if you are already engaging in this, come and register with us, because even according to the act,
So I think
unless it is proven guilty, we can't do anything.
that's true. Which other countries have done this particular change during last 5 to 10 years?
India, Pakistan, USA,
How
Saudi
was their
Arabia.
success? Was it the same experience? What kind of things they've done differently? Do we have a view? Anybody studying this?
No, to my knowledge, there is no proper research, especially with respect to Sri Lankan market. But there are research.
Just because somebody else says some requirement and there is no way to operate.
Did I hear you right, lady there, that saying that Hawala is not illegal?
It is not illegal.
So it's not illegal is the stand that has been taken. So you're bringing legal remedies for it. Have you seen the flip side of it, trying to make money is being sent out more liberalized than this? Because that's one of the reasons why such things happen. Have you not looked at that side?
No, I mean the way I understand.
Because of the difficulty in sending officially is the reason how it comes to India. So have you looked at trying to liberalize the other side of it, which legitimates sometimes the remittance is going out? But in any case, it's going out. You can't stop it.
No, is it going out? When it's
actually
value
going
transfer,
in.
no, it's nothing is going out, is it?
No.
In
By-
this Undial, I mean, what
by
I'm saying
definition,
is, it's a
by-
value
Money going
No. It's a money and value transfer, no?
It's a, yeah.
So the value is sort of,
It's like an online platform which is virtual, nobody.
By
it's offset, no? The
Cash
values
doesn't come.
values are offset, no? At each end, that is how I thought that worked.
Cash doesn't come.
Is it offset? No, cash doesn't come in, no?
In Hawala, Honorable Chairman, by definition, in the simplest form, you are conducting international transactions without money crossing the border,
That's what I thought.
across the
Correct.
border.
Yeah.
So,
It's no money crosses.
if you want to send, say, $100 to America, and if there is a person who wants to send $100 to Sri Lanka, so both of these parties can settle their transactions in respective
offset in
jurisdictions
transactions.
without.
But
So the
finally,
future is the banking
such a thing
system will be
happens is you're
redundant.
Making payment now.
With
Now,
this,
if you look at the people that migrate from
No,
Sri
that's what
Lanka,
crypto
they are
is
the
doing.
ones that use the Hawala the most. If you go to exchange control, they'll never give you approval more than X amount. So the monies go out. So that means the assets that are here gone out. It's not that there is no physical transfer, but it's a bartering. So
I think,
if you make
no-
it easy, then such things won't happen.
I think this point is valid, and but what can anybody explain a smaller country or a country who's growing, who has done this formalizing, and had no impact in their banking system? Because what we are going to do now, we are going to say there's a process of doing transactions without going to the bank. Am I right? And then what kind of consequences did India had? Because they are a large country and they have a huge reserve. I don't think it will be any impact. But if you take Britain is a developed nation which has gone in different legal miles ahead of us. What is developing nations doing? Have they even allowed such a thing to be done? What has happened in South Korea? What has happened in Vietnam? Have they allowed this? Because what's going to happen now, I'll tell you, is that people will more and more will use Hawala rather sending through bank, because we are not solving this problem what Honorable Ravi Karunaka said, because if we don't have a mechanism to reduce the transaction cost, we are on the other hand formalizing a system which will ask everybody out of Sri Lanka to use Hawala. Who has analyzed this? Has been any research report, evaluation by central bank, which consulted or which is being thought through, debated? Who's coming up with these things?
And
Where's the
Minister,
evidence?
may I interject on behalf of the Director Financial Intelligence Unit here, and also on behalf of Central Bank. Basically, there are several literature available. One, there is a study done by IMF in 2005. It's a bit dated, but the fact is, the final outcome here is that Hawala is indeed, from its definition, underground. There is a very scarce amount of data available to carry out in detail research. There had been 2 or 3 qualitative research as well as several journals that have been published, mainly by the UNODC, United Nations Organization of Drugs and Crime, and also by the IMF. IMF is available on the public domain. Apart from that, I can go a little bit detail into the components of Hawala. Now, there are 2 types of countries. First type of country are the remitter type. Remitter types are the advanced economies where the money goes out. Now, those are the countries that started this regulation business. Basically, why? Because they want to know where the countries are remitting. Then the second type of countries are the receiver types. Sri Lanka invariably fell into this second type because we had a large migrant population sending money, albeit in a lower number. And the transactions were quite cyclical. Basically, every month they will send about $300 to $500. Now, in those cases, what happened during 2021, 2022, due to the exchange rate and the other scenarios that prevail within our economy, the Hawala network was abused to send money out. Why? Because in Sri Lanka, there was a scarcity in the banking sector with regard to foreign exchange. Now, where would the people who want to get transactions carried out, they resorted to Hawala. And that went on to capital as well as for current exchanges. Now, that is what the advent of Hawala is about. This has been there for almost 300 years. Not a single country had successfully tackled it. That's the bottom line.
From central bank perspective, we are getting 6.3 billion this year as foreign remittances. After we legalize this, so formalize this, will 6.3 billion keep improving or reduce?
That, of course, is a question that we will have to leave the future to answer. One thing is that what we can say is that if we do not do this at this point, if we just let it be, there are no offenses right now even to tackle any foreign exchange remitter who's taking money out. If we at least bring this regulation in force, let it be the fact that no one comes to register. But by chance, if we find a person who had carried this out, there is at least recourse that we can go into by way of Payments and Settlement Systems Act. That person can be brought before a magistrate, can be charged, and can be set a precedent. At least that would trigger some people to come and register. Maybe that's the precedent.
That's a very good answer you gave. But that is laws for the sinners, not for the saints, no? I'm saying if a person walks out with a blue sapphire, to gold, I mean, FIU units are here. Just go to the airport, see how many people are carrying gold. So that's Hawala. There is change of possession of value from one country to the other. What I'm trying to say is, make it easy. Now, I think DST's Senviratna will know, we try to make gold legal because there was such a lot of rampant stealing from the gold billets from Karunayaka. But then central bank was unable to give an answer to that. If you made it easy, none of these problems will exist.
One question, you said for the past 1 year this was in operation and there have been no registrations.
No, it started
6
off
months.
from 4th of June 2024,
So for the past
lasting
6
on
months
until
this has been in
around
operation?
6 months, yes.
Okay, so until next June this will be in operation. And you have not found any cases during this time to pursue any legal?
Not found, but it's voluntarily. They'll have to come to the ambit of registering with the central bank. They have to, the persons who are already engaged in Hawala, there are out there, should come and register.
In case of non-registration, is it offence now?
And once the period of registration is over, after 2nd of June 2025, those who have carried out and then done it without having obtained the registration, it becomes an offence under the Payments and Settlement Systems Act, a non-compliance
A
offence.
legal recourse is a must, that I agree with what you're doing. But try to look at the liberalization of the process, because otherwise you'll still have that, like Teddy saying, we'll not get anybody caught out.
I mean, let's move on, because that's it's a policy matter for the government. You know, this committee, can, air views, but then it is up to you.
We ask for some evidence or experience from other countries who did this and what was the
Yeah, I mean,
implications?
Honorable Minister's point is very valid. See, what happens now is, if somebody wants to send $1,000 working in the Middle East, we'll actually send the $1,000 through the banking system. That $1,000 will then end up in the reserves in the central bank, right? Now, if this becomes widely used, that $1,000 is not going to come. If $1,000 is 300,000 rupees, somebody here will settle the person with 300,000 rupees. So there won't be $1,000 coming into the central bank. Is that correct? That's the point, right?
Current system will be very sensitive to this, and it will be used as a means of moving out of the banking system again, where the country will start collapse.
Well, let us not sort of, paint a very, gloomy picture here, but let us look for some evidence. I concur with the minister. So let us, you said there are some research studies, etc.
Honorable Chairman, so there are some studies available in the Google Scholar. So then that conducted in 2023 as well as 2024, the recent one as well. So what they just claim is that there is a law regime of AML that area. So I think that we have to strengthen that activity. That's what they have suggested.
Yeah. So let us give them a directive to the central bank.
Chairman, small addition.
Yes, please, Honorable
with your
Minister.
permission.
Yeah.
So one other area that this legislation is trying to address is currently a risk is formal transaction may spill into this area and we may reduce the inflow. But another possible risk is illegal transactions and activities will get funded or continue to get funded without being in the radar of the state agencies who are supposed to monitor. So at least this lot of drug money, lot of blood money, lot of human trafficking. So many of those the perpetrators use these systems. So if it is not regulated or registered, a risk for the country is we may allow lot of value transferring here and there, even though actual currency doesn't flow from one country to another. So that's one area that this is trying to tackle, but at the same time, as the Honourable Member highlighted earlier, some of the formal transactions may also come, provided the value is higher that they are getting for the conversion, the cost is cheaper in this area. So we may have to look at those areas as well. This is to act as a deterrent for these illegal activities, but it should not act as a supportive or a facilitator for what is in the legal system to get transferred into this one.
So let us request. Yeah.
That gentleman who answered that, digital currency, how does it go? How do you relate that with on the bitcoins and things people are investing? How does that flow into this area?
Digital Bitcoin is illegal. No? Crypto is illegal, isn't it?
No, it is not. It is not.
Either legal nor illegal. So because the central bank has no view on it yet.
What is the situation on that? Yeah. So does this cover such things? Because today people are investing on that. So we are half baked. That's why we always bring regulations far too late. Too little, too late. No, you gave a very sensible answer. That's why I'm asking you, but your thought process has taken you beyond this.
The state hasn't got a policy yet. This has been there for several years maybe, but the state hasn't come with a policy whether to identify virtual assets as a mode of currency or as an asset, or to regulate it or not.
But the
Have you
central bank will
suggested
take
any options? Sorry.
you will take the risk-averse approach now. You will never give a regulation. You all must come out and say how good it is, because policy, you all are the professionals. You all must give to the government. Everybody in government is not professionals. I bet you 10 years later we have the same question, same answer will be there. Then you will be bringing a late regulated approach. So anyway, flag this in and get your thought process coming on to this now that we have asked that. Because this is no different to the digital currency.
No,
No.
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 Actually, Honorable Member of the Parliament, as you correctly mentioned, Sri Lanka is yet to take any decision. We have to take without any delay, further delay, we have to take a decision at national level. Either we should regulate, register or license them, or we should prohibit them. Virtual
right.
assets, virtual
Have you
asset
all
service
given any
providers.
suggestions for the policymakers to ponder upon?
We have already suggested, I think, Central Bank, I'm aware, Central Bank has already submitted
I think it's to
the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah, assign it to a proper regulator. Like I mean, most countries consider it as an asset. So yeah, so to have a regulator for that, someone other than the central bank.
Follow the Indian model, I think that's the closest that you could get to. But please ensure that you provide information also on this basis.
Someone other than central bank.
Because it's considered as an asset,
Asset.
not an exchange of.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's up to the government to start, discussing with the central bank. But to this committee, please submit a report on what the honorable member asked. Possible risks, the pluses and minuses of doing so.
Yeah, just one more thing. When you say regulate, getting registered, do they have to register what type of inflows, outflows they do, or they just have to register for the sake of registration? What does that look like?
Send money out, or whether they are allowed to bring money in.
No, type. Say for example, worker remittances, payments for consignments, large consignments. Do you have any kind of thought through criteria what we will regulate? Because
basically it will be the worker remittances, but not basically like Mr. Prasanna mentioned, the capital transfers. Those should be the normal other.
So that's what I'm
transfers for the
saying.
living.
We would like, I don't know, Chair, I would like to see what are the type of transactions that can happen through Hawala, and then when you register someone, do we have a process to say this you can't do this, because illegal ones obviously
because
you can't.
when we give in the license registration, we can put the condition.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. So what kind of this that you could do?
Please
so
think
definitely,
through that.
Yeah,
think
definitely
through
it will
that,
not be
make that
capital item.
registration process more robust, so that there's at least a guidance for the registered person to kind of decide what type of transactions I can do, because everybody knows you can't do illegal stuff after you registered.
So when you provide us with that report, why don't you give us some templates, perhaps, as to what you are planning to do, what this regulation
And
is to
how does India regulation look like? What is their format, and what kind of information do they ask? How does it happen in UK? Whether does it ever happen in other developing nations? I would like to see as well. Similar scale, yeah.
And the best country to follow is Indonesia, and also the digital currency report. That also coming in. Well, that's the next line of.
Yeah, the digital currency report, we will not ask them to do it this time, because this is separate.
It's the same
It is
extension
not,
of this.
no. It
this
is not. The
particular one.
cryptocurrency is
It's
different.
different,
No, we
sir.
will just stick to the Hawala for the moment, and we'll stick to Hawala for the moment, and we'll do a cryptocurrency one later, because otherwise it will take a long time for them to come up with this report, because we want to do it quickly.
This we have agreed, they have agreed. Now we are asking the more details.
Yeah.
Formats.
So, okay, then gentlemen, ladies, we will just approve this and move to the next one. If you are done, central bank people, you all can take your leave. Thank you very much.